So I've been using the Contax T3 extensively over the last 5 years. It's tiny, beautiful, but ridiculously expensive. After extensive use and putting it through its paces, here are my thoughts on whether or not you should purchase the Contax T3 almost 2 decades after its release. Okay, so this video is not gonna be a super technical review. We'll still go over some technical specs, but it's gonna be mainly a pure vibes review. And if you know this channel, you'll know that I'm gonna talk about real world experiences and what I think about this in the field. Released in 2001, the Contax T3 is a titanium body premium, it really feels premium, compact point and shoot. It's got a legendary Carl Zeiss T-Star 35mm f2.8 lens. This lens is super sharp. The close focusing distance of 0.35 meters is actually unusually close for a point shoot, and it comes in handy more often than you think. It's got a relatively powerful flash, built-in TTL, and the metering is surprisingly really accurate. And my personal favorite factor about this camera is its size. The Contax T3 feels extremely small and pocketable. It's about 230 grams, and it really feels like an actual carry everywhere camera. This camera falls into the point and shoot category, and there are a lot of other high-class premium point and shoots that rival this camera, mainly the Minolta TC1, the Nikon 35 Ti, and the Yashica T4 or T5. Realistically, this camera pretty much has it all, but obviously, the caveat is the price. We'll speak more about whether or not I think this camera is worth the upwards of $2,000 it's going for on the resale market today. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the pros and how I use this camera in my day-to-day life and why I've been using it so consistently over the last 5 years. So I haven't done an exact count, but I would guess that I've put at least 300 to 400 rolls through the Contax T3 over the last 5 years. There's two main reasons why I think this point shoot is my favorite point shoot and probably one of the best point shoots on the market. Number one is autofocus. Now, I purchased my first film camera 15 years ago. It was a Holga 120N. If you remember those cameras, lightly, they're just toy film cameras. But since then, I've tested a lot of different cameras. After the Holga 120N, I think I picked up a Kyocera Lynx 70, then I moved to a Canon Autoboy, up to a Yashica T4, and slowly moved up the ranks. Got Olympus Mu 2, Nikon 28 Ti, and then a Contax T2. I really enjoyed the use and feel of the Contax T2, and when the photos were in focus, I really loved the results. But that's the biggest issue I had with my personal Contax T2. I've actually owned 2 bodies of the Contax T2, and for whatever reason, in both bodies, I always seem to have an issue with the autofocus. I'd say like out of all the photos, maybe 60 to 70-ish% of the photos were in focus, and I found myself missing focus way more often than I'd like, especially with the cost of film in mind. I didn't want to keep missing focus. That's when I first started thinking about the Contax T3 5 years ago, and when I ended up purchasing it, I think I purchased it for just over maybe like $1,000, $1,500. Obviously a super premium price for a relatively small and seemingly just tiny film point and shoot camera. But once I started using it, I understood the assignment. As soon as I started getting the photos back, I realized that the autofocus just almost never misses. I'd say like out of a roll of 36 exposures, maybe I missed focus once or twice, and I typically attribute those to like user errors just because they're really in difficult lighting situations. And although it's obviously a very premium camera, I just really appreciated the amount of times that I could really rely on the autofocus as a point and shoot, obviously. And with the autofocus, the metering was just stunning. Every time I shot, I just felt like I knew that if I got my composition right, the actual metering and the focus would be on point, and I could get usable photos very often and very reliably. The second main favorite feature of this camera is the size. Now, this camera is really small. Once you hold it in your hands, you realize just how small this camera is, but also how sturdy it feels. Not gonna lie, I've dropped it a couple times. It's really scary to drop a camera like this, especially with its electronic features. But the form factor and size and portability of this camera, just popping it into its case and throwing it into my backpack, into my side bag, just for outdoor excursions, going out with friends, going on sets, and just having a tiny pocketed camera in your front pocket, ready to pull out and shoot really quickly. All of these factors make this camera something super easy and convenient to just have on you and pull out and take out a quick snapshot and basically use it for what it was designed for. A lot of my favorite film photos that I've ever captured are actually on this tiny body, and I attribute that mainly not necessarily to the actual build, but more so having the camera out and its ability to quickly pull out and capture these moments. These timeless moments are really important in photography. Speed is really important in photography, especially trying to capture those candid moments. There's really no better camera to quickly pull out of your pocket and snap off a few great film photos than this camera. I could keep going on about how much I love this camera, how much I love shooting with it, but let's touch on a couple cons of this camera. Now, my first con is that this camera, or this particular camera body, is actually my second Contax T3 that I've purchased over the last 5 years. My first Contax T3 had an issue that's very common with Contax T3s, and it's called the single tooth edition or the single tooth problem. Basically, the way the camera works is that it has a tooth where it latches onto the sprockets of a film canister. These T3s have a notorious problem of having that little tiny plastic tab pull off and snap. Basically, this renders the camera useless. You can't roll up a film spool. And this issue, after diving into Reddit, is really common in these cameras, and they actually sell specific double tooth versions of this camera. They came out a little bit after the first edition. And the double teeth editions are more reliable. They're less likely to break off both teeth and are typically a little bit more expensive than the single tooth edition. Just something to keep in mind when you're purchasing a Contax T3 are that there's two editions, and basically the single tooth has this prone ability to break the tooth off. And I actually sent mine in for repair to a Contax repair specialist based in Nagano, Japan. It took them a couple months and about $150 to repair the camera. Nothing major, it's just an annoying thing to know with these cameras. The second con, and the largest con, is the current price in today's market. Now, I was very lucky. My friend Tyler sold me his Contax T3 with the original box for a very discounted price last year. And currently, just scrolling through eBay, you'll be lucky to get this around 2,000 USD. Honest talk, hands down, that's a ridiculous price to pay for any point and shoot camera. But is it worth it? If you're in a lucky position where money is no issue, then obviously pick up a T3. But if you're looking at other alternatives, there are a lot of great point and shoots that are just as reliable that I'd probably purchase nowadays before T3. The Yashica T4 also has a great Carl Zeiss lens. The Olympus Mu 2 is also a very tiny point and shoot camera that has a surprisingly sharp lens. And honestly, form factor is pretty similar to the T3, although it's made out of plastic. I'd say the most similar camera to this is actually the Minolta TC1. That's also a small, I think, titanium or aluminum alloy body. It feels very similar. It's actually a little bit smaller than this camera, and it's a really cool point and shoot to look up and see as an alternative to the T3. Now, to clear the air, something I see a lot with this camera in particular is that it's overhyped, or it's not worth the value. Overhyped I can kind of see, but this camera, to be honest, offers something that I really highly value, and it's a reason why I use it almost every day. The form factor, reliability, and photos that come out of this camera make me want to put it in my bag on shoots, on commercial sets, and it makes me want to go out and continue taking photos and just going out and practicing photography. That's something you can't really put a price on. There are other cameras, obviously, that could do that. Having a camera, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Contax T3, but a camera that makes you want to go out and take photos, that's something that's pretty priceless. Whether that be the form factor, reliability, or just results that come out of your camera, having something that makes you want to go out and capture more, I think that's really important when thinking about whether or not a camera is worth it or not. So the Contax T3, 5 years later, I'm still loving it, still using it almost every single day. Whether or not it lasts me another 5 years, that's a whole nother story. But for the amount of use I've gotten out of it, I really love it, really appreciate it. And if you haven't tried one out personally, I'd recommend, if you could find a friend who has one or a rental place, to just go ahead and try it out. Give it a test, and you'll see what the great pros and cons of this camera are. If you have any questions on the Contax T3 or any other cameras that I spoke about in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the color grade in this video, my LUTs, PowerGrade, and sound effects are all available in my store, link down below. Thanks again for watching till the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.